Ducks fans, are you ready? You are listening to the Ducks and Pucks podcast. This is the number one home for Anaheim Ducks talk and analysis. Here we go.
Welcome to the show. This is your host, Mike Walters, along with my co-host, Eddie Richard. And we are back, Eddie, into the big show. The Ducks have qualified for the playoffs. The last time we saw them was 2018 in the playoffs. So we are going to talk about the Ducks facing the Oilers in round one. We'll talk about a couple of the games at the end of the season that led up to that. And we'll also talk about the league a little bit and kind of what's going on around the other matchups in the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. But to begin, Eddie, the Ducks are back in the playoffs. How are you feeling?
It's surreal. I have to pinch myself, Mike. I don't think it's real. I didn't think this time would come. I don't think any Ducks fans thought the Ducks would make the playoffs this season, especially with the new coaching change, new system they had to get used to. But I'm excited. I'm ecstatic. We're going to the game next week, Mike. Thank you for inviting me. I'm looking forward to being there. It's been forever since I've been to a playoff game, a Ducks playoff game at that. So I'm excited. I'm so excited, Mike, that I'm drinking an ultra right now at 9 in the morning when we're recording this show.
I know. I was laughing. I was like, oh, it's a little early for me. So we'll be a half drunken pucks or was it Ducks and drunks, whatever they call it. I don't remember whatever people call us, but. Yeah, I know. We're excited because yeah, me and the missus are going to the first home game, right, which is going to be on that Friday. You and I are going to go to the one on that Sunday. The way it all worked out and everything, the Ducks ended up third in the division, and so they avoided playing Eddie's other team, the Avs. Thank God. The Kings are going to have to deal with the Avalanche, which we'll talk a little bit about that later in the show. But the way it worked out is the Ducks ended up in third and Edmonton ended up in second. So obviously the two and three seeds play each other, and the Oilers have the home ice advantage. So we'll talk just a little bit about the end of the season, and then Eddie and I will talk in depth about this matchup and what we think the keys are and how we think who will win or whatever and whatnot. But kind of leading up to the end, I talked about in the last show that it was going to be a photo finish for the Pacific Division. It ended up being that you had Vegas came out on top of the division, and then Edmonton, and then Anaheim, and then it followed. Like we said, the Kings ended up fourth in the Pacific, but that second wild card spot, so that they got to deal with some stuff there. But but after we did our last show, the Ducks had 4 games left in the season. And Eddie and I talked about, we said that, hey, the Ducks got to beat San Jose. They got to beat Vancouver. They'll probably be in a good position. And then they were playing Minnesota and Nashville. And so they did better in the last 4 games, but maybe not where we wanted them to be. But they came out and really destroyed San Jose, which was good. You had Carlson getting his hat trick there, which was great. Then you had them play Vancouver, where you got Cutter and Gudis back. Also good, and of course Cutter's starting to go nuts and score goals. He ended up getting 41 on the season. He had 2 in this game, but the Ducks lost to Vancouver in overtime. So then they needed help to get officially clinched into the playoffs, and they got that. So they made it after this game, which I really wanted the Ducks to beat Vancouver and then clinch because they would have been in then. But regardless, they made it, and then. They played Minnesota, the AHL Minnesota team that they lost to. This game I was very, very frustrated. And then they finished the season with a wild, wild win, 5-4 over Nashville. So the Ducks in those last 4 games, they went 2-1-1. They probably should have gone 4-0-0. I mean, to be honest, but
Yep.
they lost to Vancouver, which I mean, they were behind. They did rally and come back, but they shouldn't have been behind. They should have just beat Vancouver and they should have beat Minnesota. But I mean, the good thing is I was a little bit more negative probably on the last show with the way they played the last 4 games. I do feel a little bit better about this team, Eddie, and I won't go into too much of it with Edmonton because I'll save that for our conversation there. But kind of how did you see these last 4 games end up with the Ducks? I mean, to me, it wasn't I mean, well, the San Jose game was dominant. The other 3 were kind of all over the place. They're all, again, close games. The Ducks play a lot of one-goal games, but Did you feel a little bit better about the team? They have gotten healthy. They've got Cutter back. They got Gudis back. We know Johnston and Harkins are practicing too. It sounds like Johnston will get in this series at some point from Coach Q. So the Ducks are healthy, which is good. Um, kind of what did you think when these last four games and finishing up the season, before they go face Edmonton? Did you feel like cautiously optimistic or like, better? Because obviously before we were not happy with those 6 games before.
I'm a realist, Mike, and what I seen them playing, it was sloppy hockey. Like they just weren't there. They weren't that Ducks team from the first half of the season. Goaltending, just letting in soft goals. Um, Before I start off on the negative, I want to do congratulate Cutter on his 40 goal season and 41st first goal. He joins Corey Perry, Teemu Selanne, and Paul Kariya as the only 40 plus goal scorers in Anaheim Ducks history. So congratulations to him, Mike. That was a blessing to get him. Thank you, Philadelphia. I know a lot of the fans um, are still bitter about that situation, but he wanted to come here. He looks like he's having fun, and we needed a goal scorer like him, and I think we found something in that. I think it was the best thing that can happen to the Ducks. So congratulations to him. But Mike, I've been frustrated, especially on that Nashville game. It's like, okay, you had to win that game. That was it was kind of a semi kind of playoff game, so you won't go down. If Kings would have won, you would have been screwed if you didn't win that game. But I just didn't see the urgency. I didn't see the that killer instinct you need for the playoffs. And it just ever since that Toronto game, I just been bitter about this team. Like I can't see them in a playoff kind of style team. You have to be gritty. You have to be that killer. You have to go and steal games. And it wasn't happening. Thank God they beat Nashville, but it's like I posted on my personal X page too about that little clip on that dodgeball thing. Congratulations on the elimination. Ducks should have had this locked in, like I talked about that last show weeks ago. They should have been number one in the Pacific. They should just they should get their bearings straight and get ready for playoff hockey. But I don't see that right now, and we'll talk about it more when we get down in the playoffs in Edmonton. But Mike, I just don't feel optimistic about the Ducks in the playoffs, especially these last few games. Even though they tore San Jose a new one, but it's just there's just no urgency or there's no killer instinct I see in this team.
No, you bring up a good point. I do. I mean, I'm probably the one that's a little bit more optimistic of the two of us right now. I mean, I know the last show we were
Yeah,
both kind of the last show we were both like, dude, really?
negative
But
Nancy's.
I know. I bet people are listening to the last show and might have thought we were some other podcasters or something because, there's people that like to be negative out there and we're usually more on the positive side. But um I still am more positive with the way that they did. But you do bring up good points. Like, yes, they came out and they just destroyed San Jose. I was super happy about that game because you had remembered the one before where they had blown it in the last couple minutes
Yep.
in that game in San Jose. So I was like, okay, good. And then against Vancouver, and I was there at this game. I was very frustrated because I was like, hey man, like this is your chance right here. You win this game, you're in the playoffs. So they got behind. They did fight back. So that's where it's like it's kind of it's like a catch-22 almost with this, Eddie, because it's like you're right. They don't have the killer instinct, but then they pull stuff out of their ass and get and rally and force overtime and stuff like that. But during the regular season, it's one thing, and the Ducks have been very, very good at rallying overall. They just known to come back. I think they had 26 comeback wins, if I'm not mistaken, this season was the stat on that. I mean, just ridiculous. But like you said, in playoffs, it's a different thing. If you're down 2 or 3 goals in a third period in a playoff game, I'm sorry, you're probably going to lose. Like, yes, we've seen crazy comebacks in the playoffs and things like that, but if you keep doing that multiple games in a row, it's a recipe for disaster.
Yep.
So I agree with you on that. And so that's what happened in the Vancouver game. They came back, they forced overtime, got the point, they lost. Um, I thought it was kind of crappy too the way that they lost in that game. Kreider was called for a kind of an iffy penalty, and Vancouver scored on the power play. But whatever. That's where I worry with Seneca too, because I love Seneca to death, and we'll talk about him and obviously Cutter like you talked about. It's a phenomenal company he's in with those 40 plus goals. But Seneca gets a little crazy in overtime, and he needs to slow his roll. So at least if the Ducks
Yep.
go into overtime against the Oilers, it's back to the 5-on-5. It's not the 3-on-3. So hopefully Seneca won't, he can't turn over the puck and cause problems like he did in that game. But then the one that really pissed me off is it was the one against Minnesota because I was like, you get into the playoffs, Minnesota rested like half their team and you lose. And I'm like, dude, the Minnesota game should have been like the Ducks San Jose game. They
Yep.
should have destroyed Minnesota and blown them out of the water. The fact that they lost that one really, really pissed me off. And going into the Nashville game, I was like, okay, you efforts better win this game against Nashville and get some kind of momentum to go into the playoffs, which they did. I do think that they got momentum. However, like you were saying, it's definitely sloppy. That game was very, very sloppy. They scored first. But then they got down 2-1. They got Lacombe with a big goal at the end of the first period there. Then they were down 4-3 to go in the third, and they ended up pulling it out at the very end because Terry got high sticked and was bleeding, and then came back and scored, which to me was huge. That was kind of an emotional lift right there at the end to see him just get
Oh,
whacked and,
yep.
and straight up bleeding from the face, and then he scores the game-winning goal. Like that pumped me up. So it's tough, like you said, looking at the way that the last couple weeks went, right? I think they were better, but is there a lot of cleanup to do? Yes, definitely. Like Eddie said, there's a lot of cleanup to do. So with that, we'll kind of take that and transform it over, and we'll talk about this whole Edmonton thing, this matchup here, and kind of go with what we think and all that stuff. So during the regular season, Eddie, the Ducks played Edmonton three times. They lost two of the three, and they're all kind of racetrack kind of games. The first two, at least 7-4, they lost, and won 6-5, and then the Oilers pulled out that last one 4-2, which most of those goals were in the third period. So. I think of the matchups, I do think the Ducks match up well with Edmonton. I think they would have matched up well with the Kings. Utah, I think even Vegas, the Ducks had a good record sweeping them this season. So I think the Ducks could have beat any of these teams. Only bad thing is they didn't get home ice, which was also frustrating with those last four games. But what do you expect? What do you think? I mean, these teams both got a lot of offense. You had all these goals scored in these three games. How do you feel about the Ducks going against Edmonton, and then obviously the Oilers having the home ice? What's kind of your initial preview before we like deep dive into this?
Um, I'm worried, but as we mentioned offline, I think they have a chance to beat the Oilers. The Oilers have a big weakness. They're defensive in. I mean, they have one defenseman that's pretty solid, Bouchard, but he's more offensive. He's not. And I think, and not just me being biased, but I think Lacombe. I think he's probably one of the best top five player in the world, two-way defensemen. He's underrated. He doesn't get a lot of attention because he's in Anaheim, but I think what he does and how sneaky he is, I think he's a factor too. But man, the whole thing with Edmonton, Mike, is their goaltending situation. So it's gonna be if the Ducks can shut down Draisaitl and McDavid, if Draisaitl is even 100% healthy to come to the seed. Um, if it shut down those two players and they expose their goaltending weakness, and I think the Ducks can have a good chance of winning this. Um, I mean, it's not going to be a sweep; it's going to be a battle, and I can see this going 6 or 7 games.
Yeah, I agree with you. I definitely think that this series will go 6 or 7 games for sure. And I remember on previous podcasts, I can't remember if it was the last one, the one before, how I was talking about Edmonton and that they'd be able to knock them out and them getting the playoffs wouldn't be a big threat. But now, as you mentioned, Draisaitl's back practicing. And he's going to play in this series from all indications. It's just a matter of, I guess, when, whether it's game one or two or whatever. But having him back, as you talked about, that's your 1-2 punch there for Edmonton with him and McDavid. I mean, yes, you're going to have to try to slow these two guys down. I felt like the Ducks did a good job of that in the third regular season meeting.
Yep. Yep.
That was the one where they really did slow him down, and so they can do it. But you're right. I mean, it's tough that both those guys in there are guys like obviously are superstars, but there's other guys in Edmonton you can't sleep on too. You got Hyman with 31 goals. You
Yep.
mentioned Bouchard, Rozovic with 21 goals, and then I call him the medical center, but Ryan Nugent Hopkins, 20 goals. I don't know why. I just always think of that name. It sounds like a hospital. So that's
He's
just my.
underrated too. He
He
doesn't get
is.
like a lot of attention, but he does all those things that you need from a player. And Mike, and I'm glad you mentioned that game, that third game against the Oilers. I think that was the best game the Ducks played against the Oilers. That third game, even though they lost, it was still a great game from an effort in shutting down McDavid on that one.
Yeah, and that was the only one that they did. So I mean, there is a blueprint, I guess you could say, right? If you go back and look at a game, and obviously they'll look at those game films from those three. I think if you look at the third game, and you're right, the Ducks lost that one, but I thought that they did play the best overall in that one because they kept them at bay most of the game, and they gave up those couple goals early in the third, and then they got that late goal, but they only really gave up 3 goals to the Oilers in that game till the empty netter. So I mean, they had them under control. The Ducks couldn't score in there. But I mean, so that's kind of one of the differences too. You look at these teams. I feel like the Ducks have a more balanced attack, where Edmonton's got like their top two lines, right? I mean, granted, like I said, you've got 6 guys on their team that we just mentioned that have 20 or more goals. So I mean, it's not like they only have 2 guys, but the Ducks, they've got a balanced attack too. I mean, we've talked about Cutter with his 41 goals. You've got Leo Carlson with 29, Seneca with 23, Kreider with 22, Terry and Granlund with 19, and McTavish with 17. So I mean, there's a lot right there for the Ducks too. You got 7 guys there that can score, and then that's not even factoring in Carlson on defense that had 14. They had the hat trick with the Ducks. All of those weren't with the Ducks, but I mean, he had 14 on the season, and Lacombe's had 10. So I feel like the Ducks overall, their lineup, they have the better ability to attack up and down the lineup where Edmonton doesn't. But when you look at Edmonton's top couple lines, I mean, Jesus, they can score on any shift. I mean,
Yeah.
so I mean that's just the way they are, especially Draisaitl coming back. Now you got to look out on there. So that's why I really think that these games are going to be fast-paced, high scoring, and they're going to be crazy. And now that I say that, Eddie, game one will end like 2-0 or something. You know what I mean? Like it'll go opposite of what
Right?
I said. It'll be something different. But no, seriously, I expect these games to be fun and entertaining and a lot of offense. Turnovers are going to be key. The transition game is going to be key. Those 2-on-1 rushes, 3-on-2 rushes. That's a big thing that Edmonton relies on. They love, going north and south big time. I mean the Ducks do too, but Edmonton's really on that. I
Well,
think
they're fast. They're a fast team, Mike.
right, and that's the thing. I mean we've got speed too, but you're right. Edmonton is stupid fast. They're one of the fastest teams in the league. Absolutely right. And that's something that the Ducks defensively are gonna have to try to figure out. They're gonna have to try to slow them down speed wise. Um, you brought up the other thing too, the goalie situation. How this will pan out is kind of interesting because to me that I would throw that advantage in the Ducks' favor. Dostal is definitely to me better goalie than Ingram or Yari, but you just don't know. Hot goalies can carry teams. So what'll happen with
Yep.
that? I mean, if Edmonton, they're probably going to lean on Ingram to start. He's been the better of the two. He's got that 2.6 goals against and 8.99 save percentage. Where Tristan Yari, man, that guy since coming over to Edmonton, it's just been rough. He just has
Well,
had a
Pittsburgh too, he was bad. He was just like up
right.
and down. Like it was horrible. Mike, I think I might be a better goalie than Jari, and I'm a horrible goaltender. Like, man.
I love it, dude. I love it. So yeah, that's my issue because we already know Dostal's going to start game one,
Yep.
and he's probably going to start every game. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean that's probably what's going to happen. So but then with Dostal, we've seen this too. Dostal has not been that dominant, and recently I feel on our side that I don't know what it is, Eddie, but if you notice some of these games, it's like the first like 4 or 5 shots that start in a game from the opponent, at least one of those goes in. Sometimes it's like the first shot. I don't know what it is. I don't know if like he's just not quite set initially because then it seems like he settles in after that. But like you can't give up early goals to the Oilers. That's their
Well,
strength. The Oilers get ahead and they pile a bunch of goals on you, it's going to be a rough time. We already talked a little bit about it earlier in the show. If the Ducks get behind, if the Oilers come out and they get that quick fast goal on Dostal early, and then they add a couple more and they build a 2-3 nothing lead in the first period, this is going to be a long series for Anaheim.
Oh, yep.
And it is going to be over. The Ducks are going to get smoked in like 4 or 5 games. I don't think that'll happen, but I'm just saying if Edmonton's able to do that and come out and get that early momentum with their speed, like you talked about, and sneak some in past Dostal early, it's going to be rough. So to me, the first periods of these games are absolutely critical. And they always talk about the first periods on the road. You got these first 2 games in Edmonton. You want to come out of the first period. The worst possible scenario is usually even. That's what you want to come out, right? Like if you come out down a goal, it's maybe not the end of the world, but if you can come out even on the road after the first period, that's not bad. If you can come out ahead, obviously that's what you want to do. That's great. But you definitely don't want to get way behind in the beginning. So to me, the first period in these games, all these games, even back in Anaheim too, when they come back, are very, very critical, Eddie. I think the way that those games start, I mean, it could set it up for the rest of the game. So I think that's kind of one of my keys. And it was funny, that wasn't really one of my keys, but I just us talking about it. Yeah, I think quick starts. The Ducks to me got to score. You talked about them trying to come back from behind, and if they get down by a lot early, I'm not saying I count them out because, like we said, this team has been stupid at doing comebacks. But if it happens each game against Edmonton, man, I don't know. It's going to be tough. What are your thoughts on like that whole first period mentality and like what the Ducks should do to come out? Because I really do think the opening 20 minutes is going to be huge in the series.
I 100% agree with you. I think there's going to be nerves on both teams. The pressure's on for the Ducks, haven't been in the playoffs since 2018. Edmonton, of course, they're in Canada and they've been in the finals for multiple years in a row and still can't win. McDavid's on a 2-year contract now. That was kind of worrisome for Edmonton fans on his extension. Does he want to stay there? And I think them going further in the playoffs and winning the cup is going to determine if he's going to stay or not. We've seen stranger things happen. Other players jump teams to win a Stanley Cup. So I think the pressure's on them too. So it's going to be interesting to see though, Mike. You made good points about the first period and the starting of the game, and I agree with you 110%. I think the Ducks need to just have that kill mentality, go out there and score first, get shots on goal, get pressure. I know the Ducks' first 2 lines are going to be busy, kind of playing more two-way hockey than trying to do that run and gun score kind of style to shut down McDavid, Draisaitl, as you mentioned, Hyman too. Um, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, they all can score, so you got to shut them down. So I think this is going to be a goaltending battle, and then the bottom 6 lines. One factor too, I want to point out, and I don't think he gets enough attention, Mike, is Ryan Paling. It's just how physical he plays, how fast he is. He's faster than than people think. And it was a good pickup from Anaheim to get him from Philadelphia. And I think he's been a compliment to this team. And I think he's going to be a big factor in this series. I can see him um, getting up there and doing what he does. He's the kind of guy you want on your team for the playoffs, and I'm glad we have him. And what we've seen from the season, he has career highs already. I think he'll be a factor in this playoffs, and it's going to be a dogfight, Mike. And like I mentioned before, this game's not going to be decided in a sweep or anything. It's going to come down to a battle, and these teams are going to, you know, just gonna draw blood and see who who comes out on top. But fingers crossed for the Ducks. In a perfect world, they'll get a sweep, get some rest. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing this matchup. And if the Ducks can shut down Draisaitl, McDavid, and expose Edmonton, and two, Mike, I mentioned two offline. When Edmonton gets a couple goals scored on them, 2 or 3, and they get down, they get rattled. Like for some reason, their team just doesn't respond like the whole comeback kids that we talked about, that you mentioned too. I had Ducks, what, 26, 28 games from behind. Edmonton doesn't have that mentality. The Ducks do. So that's, I guess, slightly advantage on Anaheim's part. So Anaheim has to expose their weaknesses, get some goals, and expose their goaltending issues, and I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, you're making good points about that too. You're right. Like when Edmonton gets down by a lot, like I don't know that between the two teams, right? If one or the other gets behind, I know the Ducks get behind, they'll fight back. They will. I don't
Yep.
know that they'll ne maybe necessarily pull it out and win in a playoff setting. I don't know because we haven't seen it yet, but they've done it in the regular season. So I know that there's the potential to do it there. And I think you're right. Edmonton thrives on getting like that lead, getting ahead. But if they get down two or three, they might be done. I mean, again,
Yep.
you're not counting them out ever, but I'm just saying, of the two, I think you're right. I give that advantage to the Ducks. And you made a good point too about the bottom six. We've been talking about like the top nine and top six kind of a lot on the show so far, but Paling has been amazing. Um, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
11 goals this season. He gets timely goals, like you said. Great two-way player. The other two I mentioned before that some people don't give a lot of love to is you got Harkins that's going to come back. That's a guy that plays great on defense. He wins face-offs, plays bottom six. He practiced, so he may get in some of these games. Summer, we'll have to see how the lineup shake out. And then Johnston as well, as we talked about, was back practicing non-contact jersey on what was it, Saturday? I think it was that practice. So, but he's back out there. So you got those two guys out there. Bottom six could play an important role in this too, as you said. I do like the Ducks bottom six. I think that they can make some noise and get if they can get some timely goals as well, then that could be another thing to look at. That could be a difference in this game. And it's kind of funny, you alluded to this, and I don't know if you were doing it on purpose or not when you were talking just now, but you were talking about how they're like some of the animosity or whatever. We know that the Oilers and the Kings really hate each other, right? And they've been battling it out for the last couple of years in the playoffs. But if you go back to 2017, and you know where I'm going, Eddie, come back
Yep.
on Catella, baby, come back on Catella, right? Yeah, I mean, I know the teams aren't, that was a long time ago. They're not all the same, but. Oiler fans haven't forgotten, and of course we haven't forgotten, right? So that one went 7 games. The Ducks took out the Oilers. Obviously, the comeback in Catella was the huge reason why they won that series. It was crazy, crazy game. So I wonder how much of that will be left over because even in these games this season, you could see when they're playing them chipping and just that animosity towards each other. Sometimes I'd see that with the Ducks and Oilers, and I would sometimes think it's a little bit more than even the Ducks and the Kings. Like recently, it seems like that they've kind of been at that. So I would definitely buckle up for this series. I think it's going to go at least 6 games. I think there's going to be chippiness, and I wonder about that stuff in the past. Because the last time they met, right, the Ducks knocked them out that time, and you also talked about McDavid and the shortcomings they've had in the playoffs in the recent years. So you may see some of that nastiness come out, but there's another part of this too that we didn't mention, Eddie, and this one is a big advantage for Edmonton is their power play. It is off the chart. It's 30.6% efficiency, number one in the league. So talking about animosity and if there's any of that in there from this season, a carryover, I know a long time ago, come back on Catella and whatnot, but the Ducks have to play discipline against this team. We've talked about McDavid, Draisaitl, 5-on-5 situations, their top two lines, slowing them down and how it's been tough and everything, which absolutely that's all going to be hard. But the penalty kill against the Ducks penalty kill against the Oilers power play is going to be a key in this game. Both penalty kills are about the same. The Ducks are hovering around 76%, Edmonton's at 77. Ducks power play is only at 18.6, and like I said, Edmonton finished just north of 30%. So that's another thing. If the Ducks get into penalty trouble, that could be, bad news for Anaheim, Eddie. I mean, the Oilers power play is just it's I hate to say this, but it's a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, they have to be play disciplined. They have to keep their composure. There's going to be a lot of emotions. I'm sure there's a few players on Edmonton that remember that comeback on Catella, and like you mentioned, the fans obviously don't let Edmonton Oilers players know that they forgot about that. So it's going to be it's going to be up to I guess both teams to control their emotions. Anaheim, I know they've been taking a lot of unnecessary penalties at times. Seneca, I'm not trying to call any out, but there's some plays that he does and he takes penalties where he shouldn't. He's still learning. I know he's a rookie. but he's going to be a big factor too. Like people really don't know who he is. Edmonton doesn't really have them on his radar, but we see what he can do, and he can go and crash the net, crash those boards, and get in those dirty areas and score those dirty goals that we need. Um, but you're right, Anaheim cannot take unnecessary penalties, Mike. I meant to say,
Right,
not
right.
penalties, unnecessary ones. If you have to take a penalty because you have to, then go ahead. If you have to play physical and you're getting in those dirty areas and you're kind of trying to grind Edmonton down, then take those penalties. But don't take one for just stupid or McDavid's speed. You're not going to control it. So hooking him, high sticking, interference, those kind of penalties aren't going to fly, and they're going to get you down 1-0, 2-0, or get Edmonton on the board. So you can't do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the flip side of that too, we've seen the Ducks get a little bit better on the power play. What the Ducks need to keep working on is keep getting that. I mean, you and I kind of beat this to a dead horse over the last, I don't know, 3, 4 seasons, but they have to get traffic in front. If you notice lately when the Ducks have been scoring on the power play, or even those shots from the point on 5-on-5 play, they're getting that traffic in front has been huge, and that's how they've been scoring. So if the Ducks are going to have success, because the Ducks power play has been all over the map this season, right? It started out really, really good in the beginning of the season, then it kind of dipped and then kind of came back up a little bit, and it's just been kind of all over the map the last like month or two. So if they can get traffic in the front and cause some chaos in front of whether it's Ingram or Yari, who are to me are both shaky, then the Ducks can get some
Oh yeah.
success. So some success on the power play. But you're absolutely right, Eddie. I mean, there's going to be times that you're going to have to take some kind of penalties, right? If I mean, if McDavid's on a breakaway right behind him, are you going to try and trip him? Probably. He might get a penalty shot. I don't know. I mean, depending on the severity of it, right? But there may be some situations where there's an odd man rush, and maybe you do hook or hold and try not to, get called for a penalty shot. There may be some of that, but those dumb penalties, like you said, and we've seen that. Seneca's taken some dumb penalties. Frank Vitrano's taken some dumb penalties here and there. I love Big Ross Johnston. Once in a while, I think part of that's reputation with him, but sometimes he gets called for some stuff too. So I'm really curious to see the message from Coach Q to the guys because to me, that's one of the ones that maybe a lot of people don't talk about as disciplined hockey, and I really feel for the Ducks, especially being this younger team, a team that hasn't seen the playoffs, other than well, that's what does go to another point too, but I'll bring it up in a second. But a younger team overall, but another advantage that we didn't really talk about was on defense for the Ducks. The Ducks, I feel, do have the experience there against Edmonton because you've got Carlson that's won a cup, John Carlson that's won a cup. I can make sure I specify between him and Leo. But you've got John that's won a cup. You've got Gudis that's gone deep in the playoffs. You've got Truba on the blue line. You've got these guys that
He won a
um,
cup too, I
I
believe.
know. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he did too. I mean, that's the thing. You've got these guys that have gone d deep in the playoffs and gone to Stanley Cup final and won and all this stuff on the blue line. So for me, that's another one. If you're looking at the teams and talking about obviously discipline, which it kind of goes back to Gudis too, because sometimes Gudis takes penalties that are a little bit iffy too. So I do give the Ducks the advantage on the blue line because of experience. But yes, the whole playing discipline is going to be a factor, Eddie. What do you think about we didn't talk too much about the blue lines. We talked about, oh, you got to slow down the other guys, but how do you think that the teams match up with the blue lines?
I think Ducks have the overall advantage on the blue line. They have Edmonton has Bouchard, and you forgot to mention too when you're giving credit to players, Lacombe, gold medalist Lacombe. Yes, he
Yes.
didn't play a game, but he practiced. He knew. I mean, he kind of was around success and knew what it takes to win at that level. He was around some of the greatest players in United States history in the world. So he kind of brings what he has in his toolbox and brings it to Anaheim. Like, okay, he can kind of control people, slow things down if they have to. He knows what it takes to win because he was around that success when he was part of Team USA. And I think that's one of the big factor too. And I mentioned this again. I think he's underrated, Mike. I think Lacombe doesn't get enough attention because he's in Anaheim, but I think he's one of like I said, top five best two-way defensemen in the world. What he can do, he's sneaky offensively. Like like people that don't really follow Anaheim Ducks hockey or really follow hockey like in depth don't even know Lacombe's name. But you look up the stats and see his points that he has, the points he had last season. The contract he has is a steal. It was a great contract, and I think that Edmonton just has that one Bouchard, um, which he shows up in the playoffs a lot. He's a playoff performance person, but he showed up in the regular season, even though their fans were pissed off about the contract he got. But I think the Anaheim Ducks have the advantage. They have youth, they have skill, and they have Lacombe. I think Lacombe's a better player, despite the point disparity, than Bouchard. I think Lacombe could be used all around factor on the Ducks as far as Bouchard can just use as an offensive defenseman and not really that two-way one. So I give that that blue line um, thing to the Ducks.
Yeah, I agree. And I just wanted to clarify too one thing. I double checked. Gudis hasn't won a cup. I just want to make sure
Oh,
everyone
oh,
knows.
he has it. Oh shit,
Remember
my bad.
they no, you're good. I was trying to remember. Remember they went against Vegas in 2023 and they lost in the Stanley Cup final. So just clarification, no big
Oh,
deal.
okay.
I
Sorry,
was thinking
Gudis. I know he listens. I know his
I know.
people screen his name. So you know what? I'm sorry from the Russian guy. You
Hey,
know,
we just gave Gudis a cup. So I think we'll be good when we see him
well, hopefully he wins it this season, Mike.
I know, right? I'm saying if we see him in the summer, we'll say, "Hey, dude, we gave you one."
Oh man.
Yeah, but
Y- y-
no. I was trying to think about that too, but no, that's right. They went to the final against Vegas in 2023 and lost, and then remember after that, Florida had won, but he was then not with them anymore after that. So, but still, it goes back to your point too. Like you're talking about the blue line and everything like that. The Ducks have that experience, and you talk about the two-way game too with the Ducks blue line and things like that. And yeah, that's definitely to me is the advantage on the Ducks. I think the blue line, and I laugh because you talking about kind of winning and not winning Lacombe right with with the USA gold medal. Um, he did win, right? He did, but he didn't play. So there you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think the Ducks have the experience there. I also do want to see like Tyson Hines and see how he does. They had Leno up and then they sent him back down. I was like, damn it, I thought he was going to stay up, but I that's
Well,
right. I
Mike,
mean, yeah.
I had sources confirm that the Bombay jacket did not go down to San Diego. It's still the Anaheim Ducks, so it's safe.
Dude, I remember when you posted that and people were dying laughing. They was like, "What? Wait, the Bombay jacket? That's right. Luno got the Bombay jacket the final game of the season." And then everybody's like, "Wait." And then you post, "Did you take the jacket with him?" And you're like, "Nope." Sources say it didn't go. That was a good one. People were laughing. Also, your comeback on Catella, a meme with the Homer Simpsons in the car. That one, people were dying laughing at that one too. That one
I
was
have my
hilarious.
moments.
Those are funny, man. Those are good. Um, but yeah, so I will just kind of round up our overall thought on this, and then we'll kind of jump into. I'll have our ad read again, and then we'll jump into the just our thoughts around the league because there's a whole bunch of stuff. We also have to talk about how the playoffs started. I won't go into that just yet, but um, so just real quick, our overall, what do we think? And I think this is kind of how we feel. Kind of a couple categories here between this matchup. What do we think? I think offensively, we've talked about this. I think the Ducks have more balance. The Edmonton obviously has the two really super great players and some others as well. But um, would you give the edge to the Oilers or the Ducks in offense? And I think a lot of this hinges on whether Draisaitl plays right away or how he comes in the series. But it's tough. I kind of give a little bit of the edge to the Oilers if Draisaitl plays. That's kind of where I'm at on the offense. We talked about defense already. We give the edge to the Ducks. Goalie, so we'd give the edge to the Ducks as well because Ingram and Jare just been whatever. Power play for sure to the Oilers. Any other final thoughts on that, Eddie, before we kind of give our prediction for the series and then talk about the rest of the league? Any final thoughts on all that shakedown? Quick breakdown.
Yeah, like you said, Edmonton has the offensive advantage, and I give them that. Ducks, I think they slightly have the defensive advantage. Goaltending, Ducks 110%. But it depends, Mike, on what we get. Do we get Dostal from the first half of the season, or we get him from the last half of the season? Because he hasn't been playing that well. It's not the Ducks' fault. There's a few goals that he's let in, and like you mentioned too, in those first period goals, those first few shots, he has to settle in. You have to be 110% from the whistle start. So. Um, I give still goaltending advantage to the Anaheim Ducks, but Edmonton, they're not going to hold back. They have a lot of pressure on them. I think they have more pressure than the Ducks, even though I mentioned before that they're equally pressured. But I think Edmonton, what their Canadian fans and what they've done and what roster they have and McDavid's contract, I think they have more of a, I guess, what's it called? Like weight on your shoulders kind
Hmm.
of thing coming into the series. So I give the advantage a little bit slightly to the Ducks on this round.
I do too, and I think if I want to if just do a quick prediction before we get to the ad read and the rest of the league, I think the Ducks pull this one out in six. That's what I'm going with, Eddie. I say Ducks in six. What do you think?
I agree. I think
Okay.
Ducks will win in six. I
Okay.
think you know what, Mike, too. I forgot to mention. I think it's going to determine game one tomorrow. It's going to determine a lot if the Ducks. I think who wins game one tomorrow will win the series. If that's my prediction. Like I said, the pressure, all that stuff that goes in. If Edmonton drops this game tomorrow against the Ducks, it's going to be all on them, and the weight's going to be even heavier. And I think Ducks will just easily, not easily, but they'll win this series if they can get past tomorrow and win that game one.
Yeah, that's a good point, Eddie. I think you're right. If the Ducks do win that first game, holy crap! I think they put the. Of course, it's a long series, we all know, but I think they do put them in themselves in a much better position. So, all right, so we're both going with Ducks and six. We'll see what happens. I'm going to do our little ad read, and then we got to talk about what's going on around the league right now because the playoffs have started and it's already red hot. But before I get to that. We're still partnering up with the Hockey Podcast Network and DraftKings. No sport flips faster than hockey. One power play, a goalie pulled with 2 minutes left, and everything changes. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, is built for that kind of chaos with live betting from puck drop to the final buzzer. And DraftKings has your back with an early exit protection. If you place a pregame player prop bet and your player drops, or excuse me, starts the game but leaves in the first player due to injury and doesn't return, you get your bet back in cash. No bonus bets, no opt-in, just real protection when injuries happen early. New sportsbook customers bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you could instantly win $300 in bonus bets. Download the DraftKings Sports Book app and use the code THPN so you're ready for the moment. That's code THPN. Turn $5 into 300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-MY-RESET. New York, call 8778-HOPNY or text HOPNY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org on behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas. Wager tax pass through may apply in Illinois, 21 plus in most states, void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which do expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required for additional terms and responsible gambling sources. See dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer. Copyright 2026. NHL all rights reserved. All right, DraftKings. Eddie, you got any bets going on right now? This playoff matchups?
No, I have my little prize pick thing. I can't bet on DraftKings because I'm not in Arizona. When I usually go visit my mom, I bet stuff, but I've been losing, so I'm like, yeah, like not really. Mike, so if you would wager and bet right now, who would you bet on being the MVP of the first round of the playoffs with the Ducks?
Oh,
If they win or lose, who would be the MVP that's going to stand out in your mind that you would take a bet on right now?
I would go with Cutter.
Cutter?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
good
going.
choice.
What
40
do you
goal,
think?
40 plus goal scorer.
Yeah,
I
what do you
think
think?
Paling. I think
Your
Paling.
boy.
I don't know why I'm hot on Paling, but I just watching him play, it's just something different. He's great. He's fast. he's everything you want in a hockey player, especially for playoffs. So I would bet that he'd be the MVP in my pick for this first round of the playoffs.
Nice, nice. All right. So the playoffs started with a bang, Eddie, and you know our boy that we like, one of two of the boys, the Kachuk brothers, right? I turned this one on right away and right at puck drop with the Ottawa and Carolina. Boom, fight off the face off. I did not expect that. I was like, oh, damn. So the
Both
play.
captains.
Right. So they got off to a bang. Carolina ended up winning that game 2-0. You had the Flyers pulling it out against Pittsburgh, and then you had the Wild destroying Dallas. These are all the first games on Saturday. We're recording, just after all those games. But what a start! What did you think about that Ottawa game or any of the other games to start the first day of the playoffs?
I think the Carolina and Ottawa game was a statement. I know Kachuk and his team, they knew that they were the whole underdogs, and they knew that they were going to be people projected them to be swept by Carolina. So I think it was a good move for him to set the tone, set the whole momentum. Jordan Stahl, credit to him too, another captain. He's been in the league for a while. He's a great, phenomenal player, great captain. I want to put him up there as like Ryan Getzlaf kind of captain status on what he does for his team. But yeah, it was a good kind of start to the whole thing on their series. I don't think Ottawa's just out just yet. Yeah, they lost 2-0 over a controversy kind of goal, if you want to say. I mean, like you mentioned
Hmm.
too, Mike, offline, it probably wouldn't have mattered. They still were up 2-0, but I mean, that's how it goes in the playoffs. It just you win some, you lose some. It's going to be a good series. It's probably one of the ones I'm going to watch. The Buffalo in Boston one. Obviously, I'm going for Buffalo. I found a new found love for Buffalo. Visiting them last October, and how their fans were so accepting and they were so friendly and peaceful to me, and I wish them all the best. But it's going to be it's going to be a battle. I wouldn't mind Buffalo winning in the East, the Stanley Cup. If they beat the Ducks, whatever. I'll be pissed off, but I wouldn't mind them winning, Mike. The Montreal and Tampa series, that's going to be interesting. Tampa is Tampa. They've always been dominant. Montreal's barely had what I think Caulfield had, but 51 goals this season. Um, they're trending up. And I think the most even one too, Mike, is your boys versus Philadelphia. Um, Obviously, I'm going to side with you, Mike. I'm going to go for Philadelphia. I want them to win. Or I'm sorry, Pittsburgh. I want them to win, but that looks like it's going to be an even series. That looks like it's going to go to game seven.
Yeah, that one's a tough one. I mean, Pittsburgh almost came back in that first game. Then you had the Zegras Drysdale connection in that game, them setting up together for a goal. So I mean, I don't want to root against those guys, but yeah, I think you're right. In the Eastern Conference of the four series, that one is probably going to be the tightest one, Pittsburgh and Philly. It's kind of interesting too when you look at these playoffs. I don't know if you saw that graphic posted by ESPN, but it had Carolina and it had Gutter from the Ducks up right by the Stanley Cup. So the conspiracy theorists are out that it'll be the Ducks and the Hurricanes in the finals because
Huh.
that's what they did with football. They had all the NFL players and they're all up towards the Lombardi Trophy. So I don't know. You read into that as much as you want or you don't, but I
I'll
do
take
think
it, Mike.
I know.
I'll take it all day.
Right? I know I saw that. I was like, oh, I'm like, that is kind of interesting. Cutter is standing right next to the cup. It's like, and you had all this stuff with the NFL. I mean, I don't know, like whatever. You can decide for yourself. I'm just throwing it out there because it was on there. I reposted it and people were commenting that there you had Ducks and Hurricanes, a player from each team standing right by the frickin' trophy. So whatever. But yeah, I think I want Ottawa to win, but I think Carolina might pull this one out. I'm with you, Buffalo too. Buffalo has had an amazing season. I think they're going to have a strong run at it. And then you're right, Montreal, Tampa Bay should be interesting. Tampa Bay's been there; they know what to do. Obviously, they won a few cups, but Montreal is
A
up and
few
coming.
cups.
Yeah, a few, just a few.
Yeah, yeah.
A couple. Whatever.
They're okay.
They're okay.
They're
They're
okay hockey
okay.
team.
Yeah, they're okay. They're just average. Tampa Bay, whatever. Yeah, I mean. of all those teams, obviously Tampa's been there and done it in recent history, right? So, but I am curious to see with Montreal. They're up and coming, and they've had a decent season too. And then they're a team, not like I don't know. I would think Tampa Bay wins, but don't sleep on Montreal. I mean, they're a good team too. So it should be fun that first round there. And then before I jump to the Western Conference too, don't forget we have our bracket challenge too. If you want to join, the link is bit.ly/DNPBC 2026, and it's all caps DNPBC 2026. So if you want to jump on there, I post those links. The top three will get prizes. We'll figure out whatever they are, but if you want to join on there. So I'm excited though. The East looks good. The West, obviously, we already talked about our Ducks.
Mike.
Then yes,
So okay, quick.
yes,
Minus Pittsburgh,
yes.
who would you want to come out as the Eastern Conference champions in this playoffs from all the teams that we mentioned?
Oh, just the whole thing. I would say I'm with you. I would go with Buffalo. That's who
Okay,
I'd
yep.
want.
So we're in agreement.
Yeah,
There we
yeah.
go.
No,
Yeah,
no.
Buffalo.
Yeah, Buffalo, I would think. I mean, Pittsburgh too. I mean, obviously, like you and I have our second teams, right? But Pittsburgh has also been there and done that, right? I mean, obviously not in the last couple seasons. They've kind of struggled, but I mean, Crosby's won a couple times. I'm like, he's not hurting.
Yeah.
But yeah, Buffalo for sure.
Yep. Same here. Yep. I'm cheering on
Now,
Buffalo.
now going to the West. The Ducks avoided your second team, the Avs. So LA is going to play them. I'm hoping LA gets like swept and destroyed. It may not happen, but I hope Colorado steamrolls the hell out of LA, because that's probably what I thought would happen to the Ducks if we ended up against your second team of the Avs. Minnesota came out and destroyed Dallas in that first game. That to me was a little bit of a shocker. I thought this series would be a real tight, close one, which it may still be, but wow, that first game, Minnesota looked really, really good. And then Vegas, Utah. So how you feeling about these other matchups in the West? Obviously, we already talked about our Ducks.
Oh, Colorado. They, like you mentioned, Mike. I hope they effing sweep LA. Like, you know what? You know what? I don't. I hope it goes to the 6 games because I can actually go to a game and
That's
drive over
true.
there or have my friend, and I can go and cheer on Colorado and wear my jersey. And if Buffalo does win a Stanley Cup, going back to the East, I will buy a Buffalo Sabres jersey and I'll wear it. That's how much their fans mean to me and what I meant. And Mike too, I want to throw out a shout out, and I forgot his name. I'm so sorry, but I was at the Goals in Rain game on Friday, and I had a fan come up to me and say, Eddie, you're Ducks and Pucks. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm his co-host. So shout out to him. He had the orange Mighty Ducks or orange jersey for the Ducks. He was at the game. He listened to our show. He gave us compliments, Mike. I forgot to mention that earlier, though. Shout out to him. But yeah. So back to the West. I hope Colorado just destroys them. The Dallas versus Minnesota. Minnesota destroyed them the other night, 6-1. That's going to be interesting. I think Minnesota. They have enough firepower on all three lines. Their fourth line is kind of borderline, meh. They have Quinn Hughes, and he's going to be a factor in this series. He's a great defenseman. He's probably one of the best defensemen in the world. And their blue line, and I think they're ready to go. Their goaltending, they have 1A, 1B. I think they edge Dallas. So I think Dallas will win 1 game, but I think Minnesota will take this what 5 games to 1 or something. Yeah, they'll win. The Vegas Utah one is a good matchup, but I think after the coaching change, which people really felt that it was controversy with Vegas, I think Torch is doing a good job. He's 7-0-1, I believe, the last time I checked, with Vegas, and he's gonna bring that element that you need, that discipline, that physical coach, that one that's always in your face, and he's gonna force the best play of hockey out of his players, and I think Vegas is gonna destroy Utah. I would probably say this series, Mike, will be a sweep. I think Vegas will win 4 games and none.
Yeah, the Vegas thing is very, very interesting because when they changed coaches, and I think you remember we talked about my buddy at Sinbin Vegas was like WTF when this all went down. And like you said, they went
Definitely.
on a roll, and they're the ones that they passed the Ducks and they passed the Oilers, and they ended up clinching the division. I really didn't think when whatever that was 2 or 3 weeks ago, I really didn't think Vegas was going to win the division back then. If you had asked me back then, I would have said no, and I'd be eating crow right now because they did. They changed coaches, and he did come in there, and I mean they're freaking on a roll. If anybody's on a roll going to the playoffs right now, it's definitely Vegas, and I think you're right. I think that they take out Utah. Colorado's going to take out LA. If LA somehow wins that series, I will go streaking down my street. Like there's no way, there's no way, there's just no way. But I laugh because if you go to a game in LA against Colorado, I would laugh because I would be like, hey, I'll go and wear my Ducks jersey. No, just kidding. I would never do that. I wouldn't want to come home injured. But
No, you
I
know what, Mike? It's
yeah.
funny. The last time I went to a Kings game wearing an Avs jersey, they were friendly.
Huh. That's
The
good.
time before that, wearing a Ducks jersey, they weren't friendly. So they like the Avs, but they don't like the Ducks.
Well, that's
But
obvious. Yeah,
like you said,
yeah,
yeah, I don't want to get stabbed. So um,
yeah.
uh,
Just
but
saying, just saying. Right, right. It's a safe city. It's a safe city.
oh yeah,
Anyway.
LA is a shithole. Oh man, I'm
Oh, this
sorry.
this this show, man. We've got a lot of sarcasm on this show this time.
I'm
Oh
not being
boy.
sarcastic. I'm being real.
And oh, I know. I mean, I am.
I dip myself in sanitizer when I go to LA. It's like
That's what I'm saying.
dirty
LA
and
is
sanitizer.
safe. LA
Man,
is safe. Tampa Bay is an okay team.
yeah,
But yeah, I feel like these other matchups aren't going to be to me. I don't feel like I mean, outside of ours, obviously, we already dove into the Oilers Ducks. It's going to be tight. But I feel like these three matchups. I don't think they're going to be close. I'm with you. I think Colorado smashes LA, Vegas smashes Utah. I Dallas is the one that might be close, but God, after I saw what happened, that dismantlement, and that game was in Dallas too. I was like,
yep,
dude, I
yep.
mean, whoa, Minnesota, man, watch out. So, that's how I'm
Well,
going. I'm
Dallas
going.
has the edge on goaltending with Ottinger. He's a great
Yes.
goaltender, and he can stand on his head. So that's going to be interesting. Minnesota's been juggling with the 1A, 1B with Gustafson and fuck, I forgot his name. The other one.
Yeah, I know.
Um,
I forgot. I know what
I
you're
have
talking.
him
Yeah.
on fantasy too. I'll go ahead and mention fantasy later, but yeah, they have that. But I think Dallas has the edge in goaltending. But that's going to be a good series to watch.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, Minnesota is hungry, and that's the thing. Like Ducks got to be hungry. You know what I mean? They are just they came out that first game like, holy crap, dude! They are just ready to go. I mean, they just, dude. I that of those games, the first set of Saturday games that surprised me. The goalies you were talking about Gustafson and Wallstead. Remember, Wallstead was the
Yes,
one that gave us the fucking crap in the last game of the season. He was the reason.
the
Oh,
Wall,
that
Minnesota.
yeah, he's the reason why we lost that game against their AHL forward defenseman lineup. I mean, but Wallstead's not another guy to sleep on too.
Nope.
So yeah, what do you think? So we talked about the East, the West. I mean, I'll let you pick Avs because whatever, because they're probably good. I'm picking Avs. I think it's the Avs out of the West. But what do you think? Who do you think is coming out of the West? We talked about Buffalo. What do you think in the West?
Come on, Mike. It's gonna be Colorado. Like Colorado, they have everything you want in a hockey team. They have physicality. They have all four lines, not three lines rolling.
Yes.
They have defensive skill. Makar was kind of off this year. Off. It's about 80 plus points. I think he has. That's
Such a
his off
bad
year.
bad year.
Oh, what a horrible person. Jesus Christ. I know, right? McKinnon's McKinnon. I argue that, and not because like I'm an Avs fan too, but I think McKinnon's the best player in the world. I think he brings everything else. I think he over edges McDavid because he brings more physicality and he's good. They have Gabriel Landeskog back. We know what he can do in the playoffs. I think the Colorado's gonna be in the Stanley Cup final, and I think Vegas will be. I think it's going to be Western Conference. It's going to be Vegas versus Colorado, but Colorado's going to edge them and go to the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, I mean, and we can talk about fantasy hockey and all this stuff now, the bracket challenge too. I think I'm just in my all my brackets, I'm just going Colorado. Other than the one for ours. For ours, I put the Ducks because it's our league and I don't care about winning in our league. But and I signed up for all the other. I always sign up for a whole bunch of the other ones that give away the prizes and stuff. I'm going abs all the way. Like To me, the Avs bare minimum Stanley Cup final, bare minimum. I mean that's it. I'm putting the farm on it. So that's what I'm rolling with. But did you, as we wrap up the show, did you want to talk a little bit about fantasy hockey? I know you reached out to the winners in both our leagues, and also thank you everybody for participating. This was crazy this year. We had two leagues with like 40 people or something. I mean, it was nuts this year, and it was great. But did you have something? I remember you wanted to talk about the winners or contacting you or something.
Yeah, so on our paid league, which I sponsored, and I'm gonna be making a donation on part of Ducks and Pucks behalf to OC Animal Care, for whoever that participated. I think it's like 160. I'll be donating to OC Animal Care. But yeah, it was me and Quack Attack for the first championship game. We ended up tying, and when you tie, the winner goes to the person that was ranked higher. So I emailed him and talked to him and his wife, and I said, "Hey, you know what? A tie is a tie," and I split the cost with him. I Venmo him the money for that, so I'll go in and make that donation. And then the other person that came in third place will win $8. Is let me see, Dostal Service. So I'm waiting for him to email me back. On our other one, our main one, I came in what, third place. So Mike, you had to send me some DMP swag because I came in third place.
Yes.
But yeah, Scory Perry won that one. It was a great matchup. I guess Caliph Killers. It was like 6-5. So he'll get um some kind of puck that's signed by a Ducks player, and the Scory Pair will get a jersey. I'll reach out to him. Just give me a few days. I've been really swamped and busy with work and life. But yeah, you will get your jersey you want. I'll email you with the size and stuff like that. So yeah, thank you for everyone that joined. It was fun. Mike, it was the first time in 2 years that you and I didn't go head to head. So
Yeah.
that was kind of interesting. But yeah, I'm looking forward to everyone coming back next season. The paid league. I'm not going to sponsor it next season, so you guys are gonna have to pay your $8. For the other league, then you guys are more than welcome to. All the top three winners will get priority to join fantasy hockey again, and looking forward to the rest of next season.
Yeah, that was a total blast, man. I didn't make the playoffs, I think, in the paid one, I think. I made it in the other one, and then I think I ended up fifth or something. I can't remember. I didn't quite do as well this year, but it is what it is. It's fun. I love doing it. I like I remember it
I
took
told you
Eddie.
you would. I
I
told
know.
you you would.
Yeah, because I've always been in fantasy football, and fantasy football is just kind of easy because you're like, you pretty much set your lineups for Sunday, right? Unless there's something kind of weird that happens on a Monday or a Thursday night game. Like football is pretty easy, but hockey's not really bad either. Honestly, if you haven't done it before and you want to play, you can set up your whole lineup for the week. The only thing that you really have to worry about is just the starting goalies. That's what you have to try to figure out. So it's not that bad. If you draft a goalie that's a number one goalie, then I mean you're not going to really have an issue. But that's the only thing you have to really watch for. So, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. If you want to join, we'll do it next year. Eddie runs all that. I'm glad he does it. Everybody, you get some prizes. We have some good fun on there, and it's just fun in general, a good time. So. I appreciate everybody doing that. And yeah, I mean, this will pretty much wrap up the show. We'll be back after the series. We'll see what happens. We'll either be doing a series one wrap up, round two preview, or just a wrap up. We'll see what happens. But thank everybody for the support. And what
Well,
you got something to finish, Eddie?
we might come back sooner, Mike. We might have a special guest coming on the show. I'm not
Uh,
gonna
th- yeah, that's right. You're right.
reveal him,
That's right.
but yeah, I do want to mention too. The
True.
last time I was in the playoffs with the Ducks, I went with my best friend Lauren, that she passed away. Rest in peace.
Hmm.
So I'm looking to go to that game with you next Sunday and cheer and hang out with my best friend, you, and kind of like have her memory there too. So just want to mention, give her a shout out on the show. I continuously pray for her family and everything. So yeah, and hopefully we'll be on the show in a couple weeks with a special guest. That'll be fun for everyone to
Yeah.
hear.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. We won't give it all away, but we may have that too coming up soon. But we
It's
will
got
def
Carrot Top too, so don't get
and
too
we
excited, guys.
and yes, we will have one after the series as well. I did want to finish with this one little thing, Eddie. There's a quick update. It looks like Draisaitl, they're saying he's most likely going to play in game one. And that's from Ryan Rishog on TSN. He's just posted that he's been skating and he would be surprised if he's not in there. So we already talked in length about that. So just there you go. He may be in there. So we already went over what the Ducks need to do. I'm not going to rehash all of it, but just your little late breaking update as we wind out the show because it just came on here right now. I saw it on my feed. I'm like, oh, which I'm not surprised. I thought he would probably be back or be in for
Yeah,
game one, but yes, and. Thoughts and prayers to Lauren and her whole family too, Eddie. I mean
thank you.
that's it's tough. It's always tough. Going with that on my stepmom lost her mom recently, so we're going through that a little bit too with family stuff, and it's never easy. So with anybody out there that's dealing with that, we're always here if you need it, a lending ear to talk to or whatnot, as Eddie said. So,
Yep.
but but yeah, get excited. The Ducks are they're back in the playoffs. Um, Eddie and I are going to be at game four. I'll be also at game three. Probably if there's a game six when the Ducks clinch at home, which would be awesome. So
Hell yeah.
I'm throwing it out there at the end. I don't care. I'm going for all the marbles.
Hell
Uh,
yeah.
so. But yeah, again, thanks everybody for the support. We'll keep on rocking and rolling, and let's go Ducks.